What if your classic Braille writer could instantly speak the language of today's technology? Well, today is your lucky day because we are featuring Paige Connect, bringing traditional Braille writers into the digital age. This breakthrough tool is real-time feedback, supports Braille literacy, and completely reimagines how we work with students. Presenting today are APH's gifted product managers of Braille Technology. They are responsible for defining product vision and scope and ensuring that all those details in the middle are accomplished. But this duo is especially unique because both also bring an educational background to their role here at APH as serving previously as teachers of students with visual impairments. With us today is Sarah Welch and Melissa Matthews. And last of all, today's learning objectives. I know that you want to have an idea of what you will be walking away with today. So we're going to think about our characteristics of our learners and think about how they benefit from Paige Connect based on whatever their literacy needs might be, their learning goals, and the environments in which they learn. We are going to get to navigate Paige Braille website to locate just where these tools are. And we're going to reflect on personal instructional practices so that we can identify opportunities where this product, Paige Connect, can really enhance that learner engagement and just provide opportunities for learners to be even more inclusive within their learning environments. And what I love, even the home. So our parents will be excited as well. And so, Sarah, we are pleased that you are with us today and we're ready to learn.
Hello, everyone. Like Amy was saying, my name is Sarah. Pleased to meet everyone. So we'll first start out just a very brief introduction of what is the Paige Connect in case you have not heard of it before, but we're glad everyone is here. I quickly put this into the chat, just wanted to make sure everyone heard. If you have any questions at any time, please feel free to put them into the chat. We'll be monitoring and answering them as time allows, but please ask us the questions as they come to you. So what is the Paige Connect? So this particular slide is called Meet the Paige Connect, and it shows a top-down view of the Paige Connect. So Paige Connect is an attachment that goes to your traditional Braille writer. You would take off the original bottom on your Braille writer, and then you would screw this in as your new bottom to your Braille writer. So starting at the top of it, so the side that would be farthest away from you when you're at the Braille writer, there's the USB power cord, so it goes into USB-A, and then there horizontally from left to right, there are 9 U-shaped black optical sensors. And so when you're pressing the keys on your Braille writer, the bottom side of those keys will actually go down in between these optical sensors, and that's what activates the sensors to create your digital output. And the other thing to note with that is you do have to have it plugged in into USB-A for power, but then you connect to your device via Bluetooth. So connect to your computer, laptop, smartphone, and so on. The board itself feels like a metal and is durable like metal. It's actually a composite, so it's not a metal, but it's a very durable material. Now, I know that's a lot of information at once. I'm going to turn my camera off for a moment while I switch over. Sometimes it's easier for people to wrap their heads around this if you can see it in a more three-dimensional setting for those that can see what I'm about to do. Let me turn off my background. There we go. Okay, so I have now switched over to a document camera. So I don't know if you can pin my video.
One moment. I'm so sorry. This
Perfect.
is a great teachable moment. It just occurred to me that we are screen sharing the actual slide. So Melissa, if you stop sharing for a moment, this will allow Sarah's video to pull in. Perfect. And then we'll
Hey,
switch back.
So just like the picture that was on the slide, but this one does have a little more contrast, we're looking at the Paige Connect from a top-down view. So this would actually be what's inside the Paige Connect currently. So the whole board itself is pretty much a rectangle shape. It does have two kind of C-shaped cutouts that would be at the side farthest away from you, and that's just to accommodate some of the frame of your Braille writer. So this at the top left is a little thing that sticks up. This is where your USB power outlet is connected to the board. It does disconnect if you need to replace, but you'll leave that plugged in all the time because this is inside the device. Then in about the middle of the board, going from the left to the right again, are your 9 U-shaped optical sensors. They're a little bit easier to see on an angle, but between the two sides of the U is where each individual lever would come down and activate that sensor. So nothing's actually physically touching the inside of your Braille writer, so you don't have to worry about durability and whatnot or extra wear and tear. If we look quickly at the back side of the Paige Connect board, so this would be what's facing the table when it's actually inside your Braille writer, it's pretty much completely flat, but again, in the middle, which is actually where your U-shaped optical sensors are on the other side, there is one additional rectangle thin board going across that's covering the back side of those sensors. But all of this would be under the lip of your Paige Connect, Paige Braille, of your Brailler. So this would not really be touching the table. It'd just be your actual Brailler touching the table. So that's a very quick overview of what the Paige Connect is. Peter had a good question. Does it matter how old your Braille writer is? So it should not. The original Braille writer has been pretty much the same design since 1946. We've tested with a variety of ages. As far as we're aware, for the original design, it should work with all of them. As far as other modes, the unimanual, it would technically fit in, but it wouldn't work with, because in unimanual mode, the keys do not depress as far, so it would not activate the sensors. And it doesn't work with the electric. And of course, there's other models as well, and we can get you a more full detailed list. But for any of the quote unquote original style, it should work with any of those, no matter the age. Okay, so I will turn this back off and let Melissa keep rolling, but feel free to ask questions and we'll answer them as time allows.
Thank you, Sarah. And I'll take just a moment to reshare where we are at. Appreciate your patience. So now that you have an idea as to what the actual Paige Connect is, I have a video showing how easy it is for you to be able to replace the back and the bottom of your traditional Braille writer. Couple tips to think about. I know we've got some EOTs who have shared that they are taking the bottom that the was originally on there, and they're putting it in the box that the Paige Connect is coming in, therefore it stays safe. And it's stored in a safe place, and students or families don't have to navigate putting the Paige Connect on, as easy it is to put on. Another consideration is that if you do need to have a repair on your traditional Braille writer, that you would want to take the Paige Connect off so that it can be repaired. So I'm going to share with you, I have my traditional Braille writer upside down. So I've removed the bottom flat panel, and I'm going to show you how to connect your Paige Connect.
Installing your Paige Connect to your traditional Braille writer is very easy. You're going to make sure that the U-shaped sensors are facing inward and the flat side of the Paige Connect is facing you. You will then take the screws that you previously removed from your back on your traditional Braille writer and start screwing them in. Don't tighten them all the way just yet. Now that you've placed all of the screws back in, before you tighten it, you're going to want to press down on the space bar and wiggle it just to make sure that it is secure and that the space bar can completely press inward. After that, feel free to tighten the screws as needed. Now that the screws are tightened, we're going to turn our traditional Braille writer over just to ensure that all of our keys can be pressed fully without any issues. Installing your Paige Connect to your traditional Braille writer is
Apologize for that. Now that you've got it connected, Sarah's going to share one of the great websites with Paige Braille on how to use the Translate site with your Paige Connect.
And we had a couple of questions that are actually relevant that came in that I'll answer real quick onto this.
Thank you.
So one question was, well, can you use like a power bank or battery to power it? Again, that USB-A is just for the power. So if you have a power bank or a battery that you can plug your USB-A into, 100% you can run it off of that. Another question, which is really relevant to this one, is would you call this a Braille translation tool? And that's a great question. So the board itself, think of it sort of like a keyboard, a Bluetooth keyboard. It doesn't have any internal brains. It's not translating on its own. It's all dependent on what software you're using on your connected device. So that'd be your phone, laptop, and whatnot. Today, we're focusing on the website, paigebraille.com, because that's the website from the Paige Connect people, and it's been designed to work with the Paige Connect. But the Paige Connect by itself basically turns your Braille writer into a 6-key entry, so SDF-JKL. So pretty much any program that can support 6-key entry like that, you can use with the Paige Connect. So it just depends on what that particular program, how they're set up as far as your Braille translation goes. So this particular slide that's transcribed in real time, this is a page from the Paige Braille website. Paige in this instance for Paige Braille or Paige Connect is P-A-I-G-E, just a note. So this is one of the tabs on the website. And on this particular page, you can choose the language and grade that you're wanting to use. So it could be grade 1, grade 2. Of course, there's other languages. Leanne had the great response of you don't have to have a screen reader for this website. The website is fully screen reader accessible. We did find in testing that some people aren't as comfortable using that if they're new to the low vision world. So there is a on-site toggle. You can toggle on audio just for the website. It's not a screen reader, but it will read out what you type in. So again, going back to the translate page. So you can choose to add the musical feedback or voice audio. That voice audio is kind of the substitute for a screen reader, but it's not really a substitute. And then musical feedback, it's kind of like musical notes for each key has a musical note connected to it. So you can kind of play around and quote unquote make music. And then like this is saying you would press space between your letters or word to hear them read out loud. So again, very quick kind of overview. And Melissa will be getting into some of the other stuff that this can do as well.
Now that your Paige Connect is connected and you've connected it to Bluetooth and you have it plugged into your computer, you can start typing on the translate page. What's nice is what the student or the individual is brailing on their traditional Braille writer will appear on the left side and the translation in print will appear on the right side.
I-L-O-V-E love B-R-A-I-L-L-E Braille.
So as you could hear, it did not, I did type in I love Braille, and it did not announce the space or the capital, and I did not add any punctuation at the end. But once you hit the space bar, it does translate in real time. So the next video, and Sarah, I don't know if there's any questions. Feel free to interrupt me. On the next slide, I'm going to show again the importance of listening to the audio as it is typing.
I think we'll have a couple of questions, Melissa, after we get through these videos that I'm answering as well.
Perfect. So this is going to emphasize the audio feedback in the translate site.
As you can hear, I do have the audio selected on. And in order for you to be able to hear the audio of the letters or the word, you do need to press space as soon as you have finished typing a letter or the word itself. So listen again.
I, L, O, V, E, love.
Okay, Sarah, you said there were some questions regarding the translate page.
So this wasn't really directly about the translate, but going back to the installation. So the question was, do you have to hold down the space bar on your brailler while installing the Paige Connect? So it's not quote unquote required, but we have found there are slight tolerances and variations in each Braille writer that if you're having issues with your device picking up or reading the keys you're inputting correctly, if you hold down the space bar while you're aligning or tightening the screws on your Paige Connect, it helps to make sure that all your keys will be aligned. So not required, but a good troubleshooting tool. There is a full video on that on the Paige Braille website as well.
Great. So we're going to move on to one of the next pages that's really important when you're using your Paige Connect with Paige Braille.
One other question, there's a bunch of questions, but this one I think is also really relevant to answer right now. Someone was asking about like on their phone, sometimes it's kind of intermittent and whatnot as far as working, it's just showing up as random keys. So I would double check to whatever program you're using on your phone to make sure it can support 6-key entry. I know something that I've encountered, like if I try just going to my text messages or whatnot, that it's not supported because that doesn't inherently support 6-key entry. So double check that would be the first thing I'd recommend on that. So Learn page. So this is back on the Paige Braille website. So on this website, you are able to create an account. This website's free for anyone to use. If you don't have a Paige Connect and want to check it out, it does support the 6-key entry on your QWERTY. So anyone can make an account, test it out. You don't have to have a device at all. But on the Learn page, you have one quote user per account currently. And with that, it will track the progress in lessons, time spent. You can create kind of custom lessons. There's a slight caveat there, but we'll get to that in a minute when we talk about that directly. So on this particular page, we're showing a screenshot of what the overall view of the Learn page is. So it would show you the user stats, so how long they've spent altogether, how many days are active, what days of the week, like were they on a Sunday, Monday, so on. And then it breaks it down into the different sections of the website and their progress on each. So this particular person has 13% progress in the quote rookie category, and that includes 30% on the alphabet. And it just breaks it down by section below that. But yes, we do caveat recommend that the accounts are for people who are 18 or older, just from data collection purposes. So what I would recommend doing if you're using this with a student who is younger than that, which to be frank will be a lot of people, I would recommend having an account like in your name or just a standard account set up that you would log them into just to use this, but it's not something that they're personally using on their own. So great questions.
Absolutely. And I would also like to say that we know that the software is continuing to be developed and meet the needs of so many of us who want to use this with all of our caseloads and everything else. So we're going to kind of dive into a little bit more about learning with Paige Braille. Once you've created your account, there are 3 main ways that you can learn with Paige Braille. The first one is to write, and this is going to be where the individual, like I was using my traditional Braille writer, used to practice letters, numbers, contractions. This is not quite developed into advanced UEB or some of our technical needs. So again, keeping that in mind. The next level in our learning activities is going to be reading. And I did see some questions about having paper in there. And I can tell you that when I first got my Paige Connect and I connected it and I was typing away, and then I got to the read part of this and I thought, I don't even have paper in here to read what I typed. So it is important for you to have paper loaded, or you can load it after a student has practiced writing with their right practice and where they are in their account, but you can absolutely include, and it's encouraged to have paper in there so that the individual can read. And then review is simply for the individual to practice everything that they have learned up until the lesson that they are currently working on. I will tell you in the next video for Write, I do have the Learn and the for Learn, I have the audio as well as the music on, so you'll hear a little bit of the chimes that go along with learning the alphabet under the Rookie section.
Let's check out the Learn page. Under Rookie, we're going to choose to write in level 3, which is the letter B, H, and
Practice
O.
embossing Braille. Press space to get started. Correct. B is dots 1, 2.
It's important to press the space between each letter.
Correct. O is dots 1, 3, 5. Excellent. B. Nice. B.
If I press the wrong letter, let's see what happens.
Oops. That's not. B is dots 1, 2. Keep going. H is dots 1, 2, 5. Nice. O. Keep going. H. Correct. H. Correct. O. Nice.
So I will state that the Learn and the lessons are very short and sweet. So it may be something that you want to have a student or an individual practice several times before moving on. We're going to check out the Read as the next.
Let's check out the Learn page. Under Rookie,
Apologize for that.
for the next portion, which is for the student or the individual to read what has been written out, it may be important for you to, as we made some errors, have a clean copy of the correct order of letters that the individual was writing. So we're going to start the read with hitting spacebar.
Correct.
We're going to read the
Copy
first.
letter 1.
The first letter is the letter B.
Nice. Copy letter 2.
And letter 2 was the letter O.
Correct. Copy letter 3.
So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. It's the letter B.
Excellent. Copy letter 4.
1, 2, 3, 4 is the letter B again.
Excellent.
So as you could see, one thing that I did learn is, and a tip is just to have that clean sheet so that a student or an individual can have the correct order of what they are learning. And the last portion is the review.
For the next portion, the last section of level 3 is to put in place everything that you have already learned. So we'll start with the space bar.
Keep going. Ball.
So this is going to apply everything that we
L.
have learned thus far in all of our lessons. And we need to press space in order for it to
Nice. Bad.
check our work. So what if I spell the word
A. D.
wrong? Okay. Now I can hit backspace and get rid of my H and try again.
Nice. Bad. B. A. T. Nice.
The last section of level 3 is to put in place.
Hello, everyone. This is Sarah again. So one quick question came in before we get to the poll dot answer is we missed a question earlier, or I missed, I should say, that was asking about repairs and if they need to remove the Paige Connect before sending in the Braille writer for repairs. So I would recommend, of course, first off, you want to do whatever the repair place is wanting you to do if they have a particular preference. But I would personally always recommend take the Paige Connect off before sending the Braille writer in for repairs, would be my recommendation. But if they are telling you otherwise, of course, do what they are wanting you to do. But great question. So we're at our next poll question. So this one, and it'll come up on your screen in just a minute, but the question is, what device would you most likely pair with Paige Connect? The options are laptop/desktop computer, tablet, iPad, smartphone, or not sure yet. And this is for what you would personally connect with.
We have a few more people that are still putting their answers in. And this one is just a single answer choice. So I'm going to go ahead and pause it here, stop the poll. I'll share out. So Melissa and Sarah, the majority have indicated that they would use a laptop or a desktop computer. And after that, it would be a tablet or iPad. Some people aren't really quite sure yet.
And I will state before Sarah moves on to the next slide, just as we're all learning through this, a piece of advice is that it will connect to all of those items, but it will only do one at a time. So if you do have Paige Connect connected to your phone, it's likely not going to connect to your computer. So you're going to have to turn off Bluetooth or make that adjustment, just as a tip for what you choose to connect it with.
So essentially what you're saying, Melissa, is you have to disconnect from one device before you connect to the next. So
You got
they're
it.
all possibilities. So the next slide is individual support and learning.
And I do, go ahead, Sarah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think there were some questions that are going to be answered with this slide and the homework section.
So as we've kind of mentioned before, the website, think of it kind of a version 1. There are definitely things in the work and we are looking to add more to it, but we want to get things out and ready. So this is what we have at the moment. There were definitely some questions in chat asking about different curriculums. Are you going to add this? Are you going to add that? And the answer to most of that is they're in progress for most of them, but to be announced. But the homework page is a way that if you have something in particular you want to add, then you can add it here. With the caveat being, this is still a bit clunky in some aspects. And Melissa can walk us through some tips of how to navigate it more easily. So the homework page is another tab. And on here, it can offer individual practice based on concepts that need a little extra practice. So when you go to create, you would create a lesson name for this particular one. You could type in whatever you're wanting to that. So it could be letters, phrases, words, and that's into the actual portion of the lesson. And then what you're done with that, you would save the lesson and then open it again for the learner to actually work in the lesson. So when you actually have the lesson opened, after it's saved for the learner, it will appear like the other lessons that are on the website. So if you type in the word apple for whatnot, then it would pop up on the screen for the student to type in the word apple. So like I said, slightly clunky, but this is a way that you can pretty much add whatever you need to add.
And I think a couple things, just as us with, the educational background that we want our students to practice multiple times, this is going to do exactly what you tell it. So if you are having a student work on word families and you give them 4 words, it's going to be those 4 words in the order that you gave it. So just keeping that in mind, if you want something to be practiced multiple times or in different orders, you're going to have to kind of switch that up and make those adjustments. Once it is saved, you can go back and edit. So let's say if you're working on word families and now you want to do, instead of am, now you're going to add an E at the end of the word and you're going to change it up. You can go in and keep what you have, add, delete, and adjust. I would be a little intentional with what you name the lesson. So that way the student can easily find the practice homework that you have assigned to them. Are there any questions on the homework? And again, as Sarah mentioned, this is an area that we are working to improve and support the needs that are beyond what is in the read, learn, and review section.
So we did have one question come in. Are the available languages posted on the website? I can really quick get you a link to that. On the translate page in the drop down menu are all the current options available. So I can get you a link to that here in just a moment. If you want to go ahead, Melissa, with this one.
Perfect. So one of the things that we really wanted to be able to provide you all with some tips and some like just ways you can apply your knowledge right now. If you have a Paige Connect or you're ready to use one and you're ordering one. So with the Paige Connect, I really feel that one of the great aspects of this is it's going to have that in real-time accessibility and translation for group activities for peers and teachers. And I'm a parent. I will state for those parents that are at home that may not know Braille, they can help with spelling, with writing, so many different activities without having to completely learn Braille as a family who may choose not to do that, or peers, again, who are working on class projects. And then it's also going to increase the inclusion with writing and the tasks within classrooms, moving from a small group setting to a writer's workshop or those types of things, with less time needed to have a para or a TVI translate that. Because once it's translated, you can save the document, excuse me, and you can print that in print and not Braille. So it's going to save some time that I think we all will absolutely appreciate. In the photo, there is a young lady who is typing on her Perkin or her traditional Braille writer with a computer next to it on the translate page. Sarah's going to provide some other tips and ideas on how to use Paige Connect in your world.
We have had a bunch of questions come in. I'm sure I'm not keeping up, but there is one that came in I for sure want to address. So someone was asking kind of what is the advantage or disadvantage of this versus like a Braille note, which was a type of Braille note taker. So great question. In my eyes, they are two very distinct category of products. The Paige Connect, as well as your traditional Braille writers, are more what I would view as a kind of learning device. This is how a lot of people get started with Braille. You can use it later on in your Braille career, but it is more focused on people just getting started. Whereas note takers, kind of like your computers, can do a bunch of other things well. They give a lot more access. So ideally, most people who are starting with a Paige Connect will eventually move into some type of refreshable Braille display. That can also be a longer answer, but there's your short and sweet of that. So using Paige Connect Part 2. So some of the advantages that we saw, and a lot of this was in the field testing we did and feedback we got based off of that, is the homework section in particular has some real-time transcription for spelling and writing activities. So for instance, one piece of feedback we got is a lot of families enjoy that if their family member is working on their Paige Connect, then they can see in real time what the print is that they are writing in. So if the student's like, well, I'm stuck on this, what did I just write? Well, here's what you just wrote. Or vice versa, you can also just have the automatic audio feedback as well. Like Melissa saying, this can help support family literacy together because it opens up people who may not have as much Braille knowledge to be able to help their family member that's learning Braille. It can also open up remote support with Braille literacy via a shared screen. So if you're working with someone remotely and they can share their screen, you can see instantly what they have brailled on their Braille writer. And another advantage is a lot of people in the field have just a closet full of these. You can already use the technology that you have to bring those devices that have been standards in the field, but give them some extra capabilities as well.
Thank you. I think for one of the other advantages is that this really is kind of that transition between the low tech and the high tech. It provides the best of both worlds in a way that's not intimidating and easy to digest. And then that poll question should pop up. But I think we're looking for some information from you as to which setting do you think the Paige Connect could have the biggest impact? This is going to be just a one option answer. Is this going to be the biggest impact in pre-K through 12 classrooms, adult rehabilitation programs, or in homes?
I think that this question is unique as we think about how the greatest impact, and I'm going to share out these results. I find it's so interesting to see. And it's all, I think audience dependent on what your background is, what your role is. So most said the greatest impact is pre-K through high school classroom. And I love that this also meets those needs of our adult population that we serve, through federal quota, we serve adults as well. There are many programs that do. And also our homes, of course. I love thinking how there can be interactive things between a parent and a child with this. So it is great seeing that all three of these are seen as an impact.
Thank you, Amy. The next slide, Sarah's going to share a little bit about our resources and how to get a hold of us.
So this slide is pretty short and sweet. So it has a link to the Paige Braille website. And again, Paige is Paige. And the Paige Braille website is the companion website designed to work with the Paige Connect. But like we said before, any software program that supports 6-key entry, you can use the Paige Connect with. We also have a link to the shop page on the APH website for the Paige Connect. A question that we did have in chat, someone was asking, is this available on quota? Paige Connect is available on quota. And then we also have the email for both myself and Melissa. Again, my name is Sarah Welch, W-E-L-C-H. So my email would be swelch@aph.org. And then Melissa's last name is Matthews. So her email would be mmattthews@aph.org. And of course, you can always just contact regular customer service for any questions that you may have as well. So many resources out there available. Another question we had to come in, I want to make sure we do address, is someone was asking, does this have to be plugged into an iPad to use it when you're using the iPad? So great question. It does get a little bit confusing. So the Paige Connect, as long as it is plugged into a power source with the USB-A, so it could be plugged into like your phone, it could be plugged into a wall outlet with the adapter. As long as that's plugged in for power, the actual device that you're connecting with is via Bluetooth. So you can only connect to one device at a time currently with the Paige Connect Bluetooth. So if you're connected to your computer, then you'd have to disconnect like any Bluetooth device and then connect over to your iPad or vice versa and so on to get between different devices. So as long as it has power, then you just connect wirelessly via Bluetooth to your device. But great question. It does get confusing when you haven't used it before, for sure.
And Sarah and Melissa, there were two additional questions. They might have gone past me and they may have been answered. And if they have been answered, we'll also look at it optimistically that there's someone in the audience who missed it the first time and want to hear it repeated. So if you would just share information about the punctuation, that was one, is the punctuation read aloud, and information about the use of Nemeth.
This is Melissa. I can speak to, I'll start both and let Sarah add in. So it will not read the punctuation unless you are in the punctuation learn, read section of that. And as far as Nemeth, we know that that is a highly desired translation and learning piece of Paige Braille that we do not currently have at this point. We are working and hopefully may have that in the future. Sarah, do you want to add anything?
But that being said, like I said before, any website or program that supports 6-key entry you can use the Paige Connect with. So some other APH resources I'd recommend looking at would be Braille Brain, which is a free website. It does have some Nimith. There's also the UEB math tutorial and the Nimith tutorial. They're both by APH as well that you can use with your Paige Connect. And all three of those are free resources that you can use. So, but as far as directly on Paige, like we said before, in progress, we're adding more curriculum. But thank you for all the feedback for sure, because the more feedback we get, the easier it is to push for what is needed in the field.
No, I think that's great. And maybe also another optimistic way of looking at it is we can say that we are thankful to have Paige Connect now instead of waiting for other functionalities to be able to come into play, and that we didn't have to wait for it. We'd rather be able to take advantage of those initial features now. But it's great to know that, all things are in working progress. I want to make sure that the question has run past, because there's a lot of things going on in the chat, but it was about Chromebook, about this being used with Chromebook or something of that sort. Could either of you address that question of if Chromebook can be paired?
So with the caveat being, you're always going to run into weird exceptions, but in general, as long as your device can support a Bluetooth keyboard, it should be able to support Paige Connect. Because essentially, once you've connected to your device, your Chromebook or your laptop is really viewing your connected device as a Bluetooth keyboard with the 6 keys. So it should work with Chromebooks. If you run into a particular model, whatnot, that it does not, please do let us know. We can't guarantee we can fix everything, but it's good to be aware of, and we can help correct that in the future. But great question for sure.
And someone joined a little bit delayed and just wants to know if the presentation is available somewhere. I'm going to get dropped into the chat that there is an accessible handout that is available. And also within 7 days, so a week from today, or you know what, I take that back. It's more realistically a week from tomorrow. This recording will be archived on our Access Academy YouTube channel. So if you missed any part of it and wanted to go back, you can have access to it. And know that the accessible handout includes those 6 short videos that were embedded that you also saw here today.
There was one question that came in that I will just briefly answer. But it was saying it'd be great to have Nimith in the translate section. I 100% agree. I think we would all want that. Just to kind of give some background for that, that is kind of a problem in the field in general. There are some open source groups that are working on trying to solve that. So if you know someone that'd be interested to help work on that, we're not affiliated with any of those directly, but we do have people working on that and definitely support. So something that we definitely hope is addressed for the entire field. And I can see if I can find a link to that real quick. But yeah, definitely thank you all for being here. And I know there's a lot more questions coming in. I probably have missed several.
Well, what we'll do is I will pause here for a moment, stop the recording, give a little of information, and we can still hang out for a few more minutes for some miscellaneous questions and make sure that we've caught everything. So just one moment.